And if Arjun nicked your car, that would not be your volume, Ajit. I know that for a fact, but thank you though. Ajit's question was, why isn't there some kind of dashboard or marker tangibly, what is my Punya and Papa account? Don't I need to know that in that quest? Yes. For that to be a possibility, know that Punya Papa account, and this comes in one story in the Purana, I would have to know what happened in my previous lives. Now, honestly, how many of you would want to know what happened in your previous lives? How many would not want to know? In this life, you've lived 40 to 50 to 60 years. In this life, gone through what you have, so much baggage is there, so many things to shed. To forget about bad memories, to get over different obstacles, traumatizing incidents, all of this. Imagine that not just for this one life, but previous lives, that baggage is also there. Like, shove that into your backpack and try to walk. Impossible. That's one reason why. Other being that if dharma was our highest purushartha, controlling artha and kama, but dharma is that highest purushartha, I'd be on board with, okay, I need to know what my papa account, punya account is to move forward. However, with moksha being that highest purushartha, liberation, cleansing and wiping that slate clean of any vasanas, that's where my attention has to go completely. Because knowing what papas I've done, having to do prayaschitta for that, is fruitless in that there are so many more papas done all the time. And this knowledge is not contingent on this is a papi, therefore he cannot cleanse his mind. It's there is always a chance to cleanse this inner instrument. That's where my focus should be. So some questions, other questions that come up in this same vein. That when did the first jiva originate? When did the first vasana come about? The answer to this, commonly given, is it is beginningless. There is no account for that, beginningless. And our high school kids will say that's a cop-out, that's not a real answer, that's not satisfactory. Just like the answer I gave about this dharma dashboard, they would say the same thing. It's not a real convincing answer. But Sanatana Dharma focus on what is the intensity of my efforts, where should that be? Knowing this punya or papa in the long scheme of things of trying to cleanse this inner instrument, that really has no benefit for me of knowing. Even those who subscribe to Karma Kanda, which when it comes to rituals we talk about, the extent I know is Satyanarayana Puja and Rudrabhishekam. I'm talking about in the Vedic time period, the different yagas they did, where if you do the prakriya properly, you're guaranteed a spot in Swarga in the next life. Even then, account of punya and papa is not something they go into to make that happen. It's that doing this prakriya builds up that punya for me to go to that Swarga. So that's my roundabout answer on that. Yeah. Any other questions? Any objections? Yes. Whenever this question comes up, in many different places it comes up, the same thread of a question. Essentially, one vein of it is, why do good things happen? Why do bad things happen to good people is one vein of it. One is that despite making best efforts to improve themselves in their situations, why do the hits keep on coming? The common questions that are asked. One common answer that's given, which I never like to give this answer, is Bhagavan's ways are beyond our understanding, therefore that's not to be questioned. That turns someone away from religion. The way this question has to be answered for myself internally is giving me that satisfaction and closure of traumatic events that have happened, at the same time not taking me off the path that I'm on either. It has to keep me as a sadhaka, keeping on chugging forward. That's the delicate balance that we have to come to. So the first part of it is, why are these things happening? Karma is not a satisfactory answer. Even if it's not the satisfactory answer, this is why not knowing about those previous lives comes into play and is very helpful. That who knows what consequences are intended or unintended for things that have been done in the past. Where this question comes up in Mahabharata early on. Shantanu is seeing each of these children of Ganga Devi being drowned one after the other. And what was the stipulation Ganga Devi gave him? The moment you question me, ask me anything, not even as an accusation, even a question of why are you doing this, I will leave from here immediately. I will not entertain any kind of questioning of my behavior. That is the one stipulation I have in place. So there's an explanation for that also that he gets later, saying that because of what the rishis did previously in a previous life, because of that action, they had to pay for it now. Now, that's at a technical level of what we see in Shastra. When dealing with others, giving this kind of technical answer of karma is the reason why, does not work. The only answer that is beneficial and palatable and digestible is keep that shraddha in that Bhagavan. That is one entity that will never leave me. That is one entity that despite any hardships, I can always rest on. In Srimad Bhagavatam, this comes in Bhagavatam, the very beginning, it's the annihilation of the Yadava clan. It's Gandhari cursing Bhagavan Sri Krishna's Yadava clan that it's going to go to waste because of his actions. All of this is there. Kunti Devi says something amazing in that moment. She says, Bhagavan, I want to thank you for giving me all the hardships in life. Thanking him. Because through every hardship I got, I remembered you each time. That forced me to remember you. Remembering you is the greatest blessing in life. Now, for her to say that, how many hardships did Kunti Devi go through in her life? Right from the firstborn son having to be taken away due to the circumstances and the shame of what had happened, all the way till she's royalty. Supposed to be living in the palace, traveling with her sons incognito for some time, going from village to village itinerantly, having to play dead for a while so that the Kauravas wouldn't attack them, all of this. At that old age when it's time to finally settle down and rest, the Pandavas during the Mahabharata war, how old were they? How old was Arjuna during the Mahabharata war? 86, they say. Yudhishthira was 89 at that time. So how old was Kunti Devi then? Imagine. At maybe 100 or more. At that age where it's time to retire, she's worried about, will my sons regain this kingdom or not? So through all those hardships, and hardships are like superlative hardships, more than what you and I can imagine, she says, thank you for those that helped me remember you. Now again, to tell someone be grateful for hardships, that's not where I'm going with this. I'm saying for that mature sadhaka, for that sadhaka who doesn't lose hope, it's only because of that kind of an attitude. So no matter what it is, Bhagavan as that ashraya, my support only grows from there. Because for so many people, you see an about face. At first, they don't really care about spiritual matters or a spiritual life. All of a sudden, you see them get really steeped into it. What is the cause of it sometimes? Some kind of incident of losing a family member much too soon, some serious illness that they barely got out of, some situation with children that really scared them. Something like that says, okay, I don't have all the answers. Let me look somewhere higher. Let me have something to lean on and surrender to completely. Then spirituality takes a higher road in their life. Not that we have to go through something like that to take it seriously. That is a byproduct of some events, though. Any other questions? Yes, sir. So one series of lectures that I really loved, that I saw recently, Pujya Swami Swarupananji's series on parenting. And in there, he said at a certain point, like when the kids are 14, 15, actively make that transition from being an authority figure to being more of a friend. Not where they disrespect you, not walking all over you, not in that way, but when you speak to a friend, your insecurities and your challenges you also share with them. Oftentimes, in front of our kids, we want to seem like superheroes and infallible, right? That we don't make mistakes, or there's nothing that hurts us, we're not afraid of anything. We show that strength. For a young kid, you need that. Your 3-year-old's crying about a thunderstorm. If as the adult you're also shaking when you see the tornado warning, that's not going to help anyone. You got to show strength, even if you don't have it at that moment. For a kid who's growing up and is 15 or 16, I had a friend in high school where his dad lost his job when my friend was 16. So they were in some precarious position during that time, 2008 recession and everything. His dad was open with him that I am scared. I know I'm the father here, but to be honest with you, I am afraid. I don't know when my next paycheck is going to come. I don't know how this alters our current lifestyle and a lifestyle that you've been used to for years. So there may be some changes coming about, but we're in this together, buddy. That's what he told him. That meant the world to my friend. We're having that kind of back and forth and not having to put on the face of I'm infallible, but saying I'm also human, I also have emotions and issues, not burdening the kids with that, but once they get to a certain age, sharing those kinds of things. Now, coming from our Indian American community, I'm not bashing our community, I'm just saying this matter-of-factly. How many of our parents were that vulnerable about issues they went through, even when we were adults? Is that common in our culture, to be open about these things? Not really. That's a change maybe we can have. Now, is that easy to do? Will there be trial and error? Of course. Not easy to do at all, but that's one way. And the benefit, reason I bring up Swarupananji's talks is, Pujya Swamiji is visiting Dallas next year in August. The topic that he will take up is parenting. He's taken up a series of parenting workshops here in Dallas. And that is one of, his Shastric knowledge is amazing, but the way he implements that to the daily things of parenting and work and stress management and everything, he has a very unique way of expressing these things, and I'm really excited for that. Any other questions? Yeah. When I was growing up in my generation, like it's a half generation more than what the kids are now, you would have a time when confidence issues come up when you're in that public sphere or you're around others who are achieving things like that, the school setting basically. Once we came home, we were insulated from that. You're with family. By with family, I mean you're talking to your family in there. Now, with the advent of social media, are the kids ever out of that environment of public sphere? Ever? More so, when they come home online, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they're in that social sphere again. It's having to perform socially there also. These kids never get a break from that. Or I mentioned this in the last session, this is actually something that's real. A psychologist told me. One new disorder that they're finding is onset of depression because kids are not validated on social media. I'm not getting enough likes or comments or friends or validation there. My self-worth is so intrinsically tied with that persona online that it's hurting me in real life as well. That's how we express ourselves now, completely. So for kids to have that lack of confidence, that's one thing. It's the time that we're in. The other is for our community's kids specifically, we are straddling two lifestyles at once. The pressure that comes from the school environment in the world is, you are in America, you must be a certain way, this and that. And then at home, we have a certain culture and tradition we have to follow, where this expresses in the most unhealthy ways. Where parents are kept out of the loop sometimes. I had friends growing up, girls who, they have a different set of clothing in their backpack, because they wear what the parents are okay with. Once they get to the bus stop or wherever at school, they go in the bathroom and then change. Mostly Indian girls that did that. I didn't find people of other races doing that. It was our Indian kids for the most part. Once they get to college, so many kids at UT Dallas, they go here from Chinmaya Mission. On average, every year, at least 20 cases we hear about of kids having to get their stomachs pumped because of alcohol poisoning. Again, this isn't the white kids doing this. This is our own Indian kids. Lack of confidence, trying to fit in. That's what the issue is. And this is not a blame on parents or families. This goes both ways. Lack of open communication between parents and kids, it festers this kind of thing, of not feeling that belonging. So one thing I've always been curious about is, my generation, how will we raise our kids? Born and raised in this country. So when our kids come back and say in high school that I have a boyfriend or girlfriend, we're not going to go to DEFCON 3 and burn the house down. That's not what we're going to do. At the same time, though, I wonder, so many immigrant groups have come to this country from different places. After 2 or 3 generations, they've lost that identity of where they've come from. They've become like any other American group here, whether accomplishment-wise or anything. Now, our saving grace is we look different. Maybe that keeps us more in tune of we do come from a different culture. That is something to be sustained. But I don't know. Because when you all moved to this country from India, whether lack of confidence or confidence was there, survival had to be there. So whether you came as students or working some not high-paying job at first, you rose through hard work because that's what you had to do. There was no other choice. You're in a foreign land without anything. How many of our kids have had hardship in their life at all? Me included. I'm putting myself in this mix. I never had insecurity about anything growing up, like materialistic things or anything. Dad filled my credit card every time I needed it. There was nothing to ask for. What has that done to our kids, though? That before, for you all, being insulted by someone at work or something, not a big deal. Why? Because there was a time when you came here, that first salary check that you got, you had to make that stretch for a whole month, maybe sending money home. You had bigger things to worry about. For my generation, not many things to worry about. Even the smallest things can lead to that dip in confidence because it is an obstacle then. Less to deal with. So all of these things put in measure, there's a different situation these kids are dealing with. Only thing that can help that is communication with those parents then, I'd say. I'm not saying this to be pessimistic, but do you agree that these are contributing factors to where we are? Any other questions? Yes. Yes. Mm. Reiterating that it's a non-judgmental place, non-judgmental zone, reiterating that again and again. Because even when I meet with the high school kids, high school hangouts, things like that, they tell me things they wouldn't necessarily tell their parents. Now, I don't know if it's because it's my age or the fact that I'm from here, but from what Swamiji tells me, they're confiding in him as well. I mean, his level of operation and how he helps people is completely different. It's coming from a standpoint of knowing exactly what the issue is and doing that. It's amazing to see how he relates to people from all walks of life. But that openness comes when we reiterate to them again and again, this is a non-judgmental zone. It's not something we're going to be ashamed of or anything. Let's talk about it. Better that we know. And a shift in something that's concerning. This happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even it's happening now, where even some parents in our community say, as long as you get good grades, go to a good school, and get a good job, whether it's underage drinking or drugs or anything, don't worry about it. It's okay. Just keep your grades up. Now, Are some kids able to engage in these vices and still keep their grades up and have good careers? Yes, they are. But is that the message we want to give across? Because I've heard parents brag to me about this, boasting, saying, yeah, we tell our kids, show them how to drink, do whatever you want, just keep your grades up. They enjoy themselves, they're making us happy as well. Yeah, for how long? Is that a sustainable lifestyle, really? What message are we passing on? So it's two extremes. One is, anything you tell us we'll judge. The other is you do anything you want, just keep one part of your life intact with career, anything else, sab chalta hai. That's the other extreme. So it's that middle ground between the two. Any other questions? Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Sure. Mm-hmm. So the question being, how do we keep this balance when, whether in a satsang environment, study environment, we see that to be detached from things and not get affected, and that works then. Practically though, it does not translate. What is the balance defined? If I come to satsang once a month, and I open Bhagavad Gita once a month to study, once in 30 days, right? That one day that I study these things, about what it says, it'll last with me like a charge. I've charged my phone for 3 hours today. I expect it to last till evening time. Based on that one charge though, overnight, one night, if I expect it to last till Wednesday, that's not possible. I can't expect that. It has to be charged consistently. Satsang and study is the same way. Where in a satsang, I'm told that I am infinite bliss, don't be affected by anything. The moment one of our mission members cuts me off in the parking lot, I give 4-letter words like mantras at them, don't I? The moment I get in that parking lot, any kind of punya built and great gyan from satsang goes away completely. I'm not saying for you, for me, as the one talking, I fall for that when I go out there. Now, if I come to satsang once a month or so, or crack open the book once a month, it lasts a certain extent. Consistent study, consistent satsang. Satsang meaning discussing these things with others, that keeps my mind in it, makes a bigger impression on me. This happened to me 2 weeks ago, here at Saaket, okay? Where I was angry on Saturday at someone, with a volunteer, we were working on something, didn't pan out well, I didn't think the best effort was given. I was holding on to that even in the morning. My first thought when I woke up was not Shri Krishna Namaha, it was, that volunteer made me so mad yesterday. My first thought waking up on a Sunday, how auspicious, right? Sitting on stage here, what they do in class. The kid spoke for a long time, spoke really well today, right? Like that, a kid was speaking. He spoke on forgiveness then. And I was like, my God, he's talking to me. I'm the one who, I don't know about everyone, I'm the one not following what he was saying. It's like he was looking at me and saying, Hari Bhai, this is what you have to follow. It came that way. Satsang will work that way. So did an 8-year-old kid give me satsang to eat? Yes. It comes in all different ways. And I'm the one talking about these things. If I don't follow it, it'll come from somewhere. That consistent study, exposure to satsang is what will help them. Then it's practical, because it's no longer a special thing that happens once a month and then I go on with life. This is part and parcel of every part of my life. That's when the practicality comes. Repetition right there. Multiplication tables, growing up in India, how did you memorize them? saying them again and again until you sleep and you murmur them, right? Why not this knowledge the same way then? Not just reciting it again and again, going through it for understanding again and again. Practicality will come through in my actions at that point. You listen to a song on the radio, some item number comes on. 3 times after you hear it, the next day when you wake up in the morning, when you're brushing your teeth, that song comes in your mind. These ideas will come in my mind the same way if on repeat I'm going through them trying to understand. That's where the practicality comes in. So with that, thank you so much. Thanks for your well-behaved fire drill. Thanks for the well-behaved questions. And we'll see you next week then. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.